So I highlight everything. I'm going to click color at the top here, change it to white. And I'm also going to add a background like you saw in the example. So we'll click effects. We'll go to background. And by default, it usually is black, but if not, click the color, select black. And we'll click out of that. And you can see we have our topic text basically ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and also change the font though, because I think this one doesn't look as good as it could. I'm going to try this one. That looks not too bad. I like that. So I'm going to use that font, but really you can choose any font you want. There are tons and tons and tons to choose from. And if you're using the free trial, you can go ahead and upload your own fonts or search, and it does use the Google font library. So there are tons to choose from. So choose whatever you like, whatever you want for your style. And then what we're going to do is we are going to click on this and duplicate. We're going to drag this down, and this is going to act as our part 1 text. So I'll double click in, and I'm going to replace the text here with just part 1, just so we identify what's what. And I am also going to get rid of the background. So if I click on this element here, the text, I'll click effect. I'm going to get rid of the background. So I'll just click none for style. But I am going to add an outline, because as you can see here, it's already hard to read with just the background that's going on. So I'll click outline. I'm going to use color black, and I'm going to increase the thickness here to about 80, maybe a little bit more, maybe 85. Leave it as 86, because I couldn't get 85. And as you can see, much easier to read already. So that's what we want for the text there. Now there is a part 2. And what we're actually going to do is click on part 1, the text here, and click duplicate. And we're just going to drag it down. We do want it to eventually show in the same place where part 1 is going to be. But if you go ahead and just leave it there, it's going to be really hard to connect the data, so that way we can have this automate, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. But there's one last thing that we want to do for both of these sets of text, because they might be very long, whereas the topic is typically short, it's 2 words. The text in part 1 and part 2 can get long, depends on what ChatGPT gave us. So what we're going to do is the edge of each of these purple boxes for part 1 text and part 2 text. Let me actually change that to part 2, so that way we know what it is. We're going to click and drag from these edges and have them line up to this other purple outline that gives us kind of a box around the entire video. And that way, when text is put in, it's going to go up to these lines, but not beyond it. And it's going to start going into line 2, line 3, line 4, and so on. And that way we don't have text that just spills over the edge of the video and becomes unreadable. Oh, get that to the edge and get this one to the edge. There we go. So now our template is almost ready to connect our data. One last thing, we don't want both of these sets of text to show at the same time, right? It's part 1, whatever the hook is, part 2, whatever the punchline is. So we want to adjust the timing of when these show so they don't overlap. So to do that, we're going to right click on part 1, and we are going to click show timing. This is going to give us a little timeline view at the bottom here, where we can click on the edge and drag this around to decide where to show the first part of text and when to show the second part of text. And for a 6-second video, I normally like to have most of the video showing the first part, and then a shorter amount of the video showing the second part. So that way, in the case it's a long explanation, they potentially have to watch the video twice in order to get the full fact. That way, it just allows you to get a higher overall retention, higher overall watch rate,